Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good evening and welcome back to the Sunday evening of the iGPFun F3 League Round 7 live from the Hungaroring in Hungary. Nicknamed Monaco without the buildings due to the twisty and bumpy nature of the circuit. We are going to be in for an absolute treat as we've currently got nearly 50 cars on the grid at this moment in time in practice, zooming around, getting their laps in now. We can bring you up the championships down into the top 30. Of course, Kenzie Newhoff is currently out in front, taken off their website with 236 points. Will McIntyre is second on 230. Lee Aberdeen third, 214. Luca Varani 198. Anthony Jimenez 191. And Kevin Swempstra on 190. Andy Flynn in seventh on 164. Time with Evan Way. Pedro Suarez on 159. Adam Towns on 157. Jacques Willems 153. Chuck Morrow 148. Alex Lado down in 13th on 136 with Victor Barros and Christian Glamseater rounding out your top 15. Below that, of course, we've got Marek Otlobs on 126, Edward Amos 122, Koji Ito 118, Lucas Marek 112, Marcis Putnieks 110, Vyacheslav Potapenko on 100, Mark Louvet on 90, Jakub Olezwinski on 89, tied with Zach Weir, Steve Ridders on 85 points. And below that, we've got Zoltan Zamota, Owen Sumakun, Gianfranco Pagoda, Nick Cardy, and Ryan Berry does round out our top 30. You've listened to me talking off. We can got myself, James Parfitt, and Ewan O'Leary in the booth once more here this evening. Going to provide some absolutely incredible action. Let's bring Ewan into the booth. Good evening, young sir. How are you?
Good evening, doing well once more and looking forward to another round of the iGPFun F3 League here this evening. It's, Monaco without the barriers, the buildings, all of those kind of things. Not least because also it's quite difficult to overtake around here. However, we have said that I said that last week in front of the Brands Hatch race, and we still saw a very entertaining race. So I do still have a high hope for this one, even though it will be a little bit tricky. These cars just lend themselves to good racing, no matter where they are. So we can be hopeful no matter where we end up.
Yeah, we're definitely. I was literally on our way round the end of qualifying now, guys. They have done their 30 minutes of qualifying. Gianfranco Pagoda is currently out in front. Does the fastest lap on a race on a qualifying, on a 1:35.939. And then we've got Victor Barris behind it. Alex Lado currently sitting in third as he comes up on that run from turn 9 down to 10. Through 11 he'll go, and then to the right-hander of 12 on his way into the last section of this amazing racetrack. It is renowned and known for difficult to overtake, right? And I've never quite figured out the reason why that is. Is it the makeup of the circuit, you think, Ewan? Is it the layout? Why is it so difficult?
I think the main opportunity for overtaking is down towards turn 1. Very slow hairpin, but the corner off of it there, the final corner, doesn't help particularly in the fact that you can't really follow so closely. The middle sector is obviously very fast and flowing, especially after you get through that chicane at turns 6 and 7. Then you get through all the twisty section. That puts some distance between you and the car in front. It's difficult to follow, and those final 3 corners don't make it much easier either. So by the time you get to turn 14, often you're not actually that close to the car in front of you anymore. So despite the slipstream down the relatively long front straight here and a good opportunity on the brakes as well, it means that you're not really close enough anyway down in towards that hairpin. Now you can get the run off there and have a go at turn 2, but then again it's not so difficult to hang it around the outside at turn 2 because of the flowing nature of the corner. It's not really got a sharp apex which you need a little bit to make a move on the inside work a little bit more with a little bit more authority. So I'm not sure how it's going to play out because, as I mentioned, Brands Hatch is typically even more difficult than this one, in my opinion, and we still saw a good race there, so we can't really judge it until we've seen it.
Yeah, but we'll check this out. We have got the purple zone of no overtaking right until they run out of turn 5 here, but the grid is been set. We are ready to go for this, what plans to be an epic evening of racing. So let's have a look at the grid. We've got Gianfranco Pagoda is currently on pole position. They're ready and waiting. Victor Barros second, Alex Lado third, Lee Aberdeen fourth, Tony Jimenez fifth, Pedro Suarez sixth, Kenzie Newhoff seventh, Will McIntyre Jones eighth, Kevin Zwemstra ninth, Andy Flint 10th, Luca Varani in 11th, and Evan Way down in 12th place. Giancarlo Valero 13th, Nicholas Westman 14th, Steve Ridders 15th, Irvin Sumakan 16th, Vyacheslav Podopenko 17th, Adam Townsend 18th, Koji Ito 19th, Sebastian Gravland in 20th, Marcis Putnieks in 21st, Christian Glamsey at 22nd, Reno Scatini 23rd, and Keith Van down in 24th place. That is Keith Van Leeuwen in 24th, Mark Otlers 25th, Zach Weir 26th, Chuck Morrow 27th, Rudy Asfalan 28th, Reed Dennis 29th, John McKenzie 30th, Clark Williams 31st, Marcel Leclerc 32nd, Paolo Brem 33rd, Chris Kirk 34th, Robert Ridgway 35th, and Jean Alessi in 36th place there. Felix Inter 37th, Arturo Mayorga 38th, Matt Brewer 39th, Alistair Hay 40th, Matthew Gracie 41st, Maximilian Gerhardt 42nd, Dorian Orio, Giovanni Silito in 44th, Kane Leski in 45th, Norza Herrera 46th, and Sergio Cacafero down in 47th place there. And that was a bit of a long old grid here this evening as well, but we have got Gianfranco Pagoda in first place there, currently sitting on pole, ready to go here this evening. And what plans to be, well, with this amount of cars on, it's going to be nothing short than amazing. 30 laps there signalled by the right top left hand corner of this race. We're waiting for the last of the cars to get on. Keith Van Leeuwen is the last one to get on to the grid, and then we will be up and running here for 30 laps of the Hungaroring. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're underway. We are green, green, green. Straight into the race we go. And it is Gianfranco Pagoda leading the way down into turn 1. Victor Barris, Alice Lado side by side currently at the moment, as we know. Down into, right the way down into turn 5 is single file racing. So let's hope that nobody has a major problem. Coming down here now, Andy Flint is sitting in there in 11th place as well, but then we're going to be up through turn 3 and turn 4, all nice and tidy. No real massive dramas from anyone. Nobody's got it wrong so far. Everybody's staying quite comfortable, but now as they're heading around turn 5 with Gianfranco Pagoda, we are going to be racing here. It all opens up, ready to go. They are now racing and free to go as they come through as 6 and 7. Not an issue for the leaders here currently. Ewan and everyone got away cleanly in there in the background.
Oh yeah, the orange zone at the start of the race effectively means that there won't be any overtaking pretty much for the first lap here, because they spit them out right onto the twisty section where there wasn't going to be any overtaking anyway. So it's a very long zone of no overtaking really, and that's going to make it very difficult for those who are down in the pack and looking to make their way through. First half chance of an overtake in towards turn 12. Don't expect to see too much of this throughout the race, but everybody's quite together on lap 1 anyway, so might as well go for it. And Evan Wade has go down the inside of Andy Flint in towards turn 12, and it will all kick off behind. There's Villarejo and also Vestman also behind. Inside line for Villarejo, he's sliding everywhere as well. Here's Nicholas Vestman. Andy Flint just going backwards at the moment.
Yeah, poor Andy Flint has dropped down the order. He's lost 3 places already. Varani, Way and Villarejo has got through, but it is a 1.3 second gap for Pagoda. Wow, that was Stephen Ridders going in hot there into turn 1. It looks like Chris Kirk has gone off the side of the circuit at the back there. So it looks like poor old Chris Kirk has dropped down the order now. But it's got to be a tough one here so far. I thought Ridders was going to go into the back there. Lee Aberdeen has got Pedro Suarez for company as they're heading off around turn 5. Another difficult zone for these guys to get through. where do we think? We said down into turn 1. Surely we can't just be looking at turn 1, can we?
Well, it often spills out towards turn 2, so we can count that one in as well. But it's so difficult through this middle section. And open wheel cars make it even, well, I don't want to single out open wheel cars, to be fair. It is any car that just makes it really, really tricky through this section. So I can't fault these drivers at all for struggling to make moves on occasion through this middle sector. But there do look to be half chances down here at turn 12. Pedro Suarez looked like he was even sizing up at Lee Aberdeen there very briefly. Wasn't able to do it. Now you can see, though, the game's starting to be played. If you do get side by side at turn 12, you can start to do the crisscross, the over and under, and have a go at turn 13, and maybe set that up for the final corner at 14 as well. And so maybe things can get a little bit different there. But it really is going to be down towards turn 1, and Pedro Suarez looks close enough here to maybe have a look.
Yeah, we're on the nose of Suarez now as we're coming up, seeing the looming gearbox of Lee Aberdeen. We're going to be pulling out to the right. We're going to be making this move down into turn 1, and it is job done for Pedro Suarez. Aberdeen's going to try to cut back on the run down into 2. Aberdeen on the right-hand side, and Suarez on the right now. Aberdeen on the left as they swap back, and Suarez does manage to hold it here and it manages to keep that position. Are we thinking then with this circuit here, because of the flowing nature of it, there's not many immediate stops, there's not a hairpin to pull into, or there's not a tight corner in some shape or form? Could that be why we find this circuit so interesting, on the fact that it doesn't bode many overtakes? But as I say that, Kees van Leeuwen is up 8 places, so he's kind of put in the proving me wrong, I guess.
It's very impressive that he's been able to do 8 places. Reid Dennis, unfortunately, the only one to have really lost loads as a result of an incident, unfortunately, so far in this one. But yeah, that makes it even more impressive, actually, the fact that you can't actually overtake through the first 5 corners in this race. Means that, it's even more impressive from Kees van Leeuwen there to be up the order in such a way early on in this race. Very impressive. But yeah, I think maybe the lack of tight corners doesn't help. But the only real tight one down at turn 1, proving why you do need a few of them on the circuit. People forget that it's not only about the corner you want to make an overtake into, but also about the one before that is almost as important in terms of setting up moves.
Yeah, definitely as well. Chuck Morrow is on the back of a pack here. This pack goes all the way up practically to Evan Way, who's got Villarreal climbing all over the back of him as well. Looks at the inside into turn 1. He's going to be squeezed now. Evan Way squeezed to the outside on the run down into 2. Way on the right-hand side. Villarreal in the inside, gets the job done on that run down into turn 2. Can he hold it? Oh, slight little bit of contact there. Slight little bit of contact. Tony Jimenez is another man that's looking racy further up the field, currently sitting in 6th place. Lee Aberdeen, I don't know if he's looking comfortable on this circuit as he was at Brands currently at the moment, because he's not doing too well. He's dropped down 1 position. He's got Jimenez closing right onto the back of him as well. Early days for Aberdeen, I know, as we're only on lap 4, but you really don't want to be losing too many positions over this first opening few laps.
It's a surprise to see as well, because Aberdeen has been on the podium in the last 4 races consecutively, and to see him down in 5th place right now, struggling to hang on, is a bit of a surprise. Jimenez has got pressure from behind as well, with Kenzie Neuhoff just behind. He is, of course, the overall points leader, has accumulated the most points so far this season, and it's generally been by moving forward in the race. If you remember back to Brands Hatch, didn't qualify so well, although he was still inside the top 10. His real point of difference was gaining positions throughout the course of the race. And it looks like he's on course to maybe be doing that again right here in this one.
And Neuhoff on the left-hand side, currently sitting in 7th place there on your screen. We've got Reid Dennis, obviously, has had an incident as well. Kees van Leeuwen has crashed. The man with the most amount of gains has unfortunately had an incident. Unfortunately for him, all of his hard work is gone.
It could be turn 11 here, out on the outside. Oh no, it's the inside curve at turn 11. And smacks the wall, the rear wing's gone, and so is his race, I'm afraid. A real shame to see. He's going to try and get this back, I think, but the rear suspension must be absolutely mangled, I would imagine. There's no way he's getting that back. Yeah, it's turn 11, the fastest corner on this circuit, apart from turn 4. But I would say turn 11 is more punishing because of what you just saw there. The wall was significantly closer, and turn 4 has approximately a mile of runoff on the outside of it.
Yeah, unfortunately for him now, it looks like all that hard work, all that climbing up that he did throughout the field has now just been gone, all down to one turn. And over and done there as well. Tyre degradation is going to be a big issue today, they reckon, as well. We've got weather temperatures of 43 degrees centigrade out on track at the moment. They reckon it's going to be a big issue, and we will be seeing different tyre strategies. I think that's just more driving style, looking after your tyres and not, you know, running them hot into the corner where they're squealing at you. You know, please slow down. We're going too quick here. You're not going to have anything left. But it does seem that tyre wear could be a bit of a problem.
Yeah, Luca Verani was telling us this earlier on, but he did say that depending on the track temperature, if we get a really hot day, then we'll get a very wearing race for the tyres, and that makes absolute sense, of course. So I'm not surprised, if I'm honest. It's not the most abrasive surface in the world at the Hungaroring. It's pretty fresh tarmac, and it's quite nice, but the load of the corners is really quite bad. A lot of these corners are long ones, even turn 2 and 3 there, relatively long. I know they're only medium speed, but long corners. High speed corner at the top here at turn 4, high load again, big load on the left hand side again here through 5, a really long corner, medium speed again. So you get the idea. It's going on and on and on, and that's only in the first sector where the most strain is in the middle. Yeah,
we're looking at Luca Verano and Villarejo. Villarejo has had an issue. Rudy Asfeland has had a bigger issue, and unfortunately has crashed the car. He's sliding down the order. There he is, sat on the outside of turn 5, and he's back into the pits. Sebastian Gravland with Christian Clancy to tucked up right behind him as well. This is a battle down in 18th and 19th place. Luca Verani still got Villarejo behind him. And then Krzysztof Morrow down in 25th, 24th and 23rd there. Battle with Otlobs and Weir respectively all the way through. It's this normal field that we see here currently on the IGP. There's battles throughout the field constantly in pockets here, and it just shows you what we're looking at with the amount of cars here. The fact that they're battling all the way down into 35th. All the way right down here with Clark Williams, who's chasing Robert Ridgway. It's just an unbelievable field of cars.
Yeah, we see it again and again and again in this series, that it's just fantastic racing week in, week out, with so many cars. You don't have to have a battle for the win every time to enjoy. You can still get ones further down the order and enjoy them as well. I mean, we did get a race for the win at Brands Hatch, to be fair, but the rest of the top 10 were very spread out. We were watching battles further on in the midfield, and it was just as entertaining. I'm expecting some of the same here, because Gianfranco Pagotto has got a lot of speed compared to those behind. Lee Aberdeen, not so much, and he's creating a big load of battles right behind him.
Yeah, Aberdeen here for the Alcantech car. Tony Jimenez, Kenzie Newhoff, Will McIntyre Jones and Kevin Zwemstra, all really within touching distance of Lee Aberdeen, the Australian, of course. Here, kind of sitting in 5th place. I think you don't want to turn around and say he's a roadblock, but he's getting people gathered. Oh yeah, Tony Jimenez over the curve there. That's not going to be comfortable. But he's getting a pack slowly developing behind him, shall we say.
He is getting a pack slowly developing behind him right now. Jimenez, though, displaying one of the dangers around this circuit now, with the curbs on the outside line. We've gone from pleasing track limits with grass, as we used to do in the old days, and now with vicious curbs. Instead, that one on the exit the final corner is fine, as you can see by everybody just going over it and over the AstroTurf as well. You're not going to spin into the pit wall very easily, but you very much could spin on the outside curve down there at turn 11, and Jimenez very nearly did, as the bottom floor of his car kind of skirted along there like a skateboard almost, and almost spun him right around into quite a big accident.
Yeah, Jimenez went also deep, right down into turn 1 there, nearly collected Lee Aberdeen. There was a big puff of smoke coming out behind him. He was producing his own smoke signals down in turn 1 just a minute ago, because he literally went in a little bit too hot for his own good there, Tony Jimenez, and unfortunately he's now really tucked up right in the front nose of Kenzie Newhoff. Nuov trying to make the outside move at round 5. That's going to be brave if he can try the cutback coming out of 5 on the exit. Aberdeen's got a slow exit now. Jimenez and Nuov is going to go. Nuov's going to go up the inside. Is he going to be able to hold it? Oh, Kenzie Nuov on the... What a stunning manoeuvre there.
That was absolutely fantastic. Not only was he able to duck to the inside there as it was still being closed on by Jimenez, but also was able to get it stopped on the brakes after braking from so late as well. I'm amazed that he managed to do it. He ducked out so late, his braking zone and his braking markers would have been all over the place. He would have nearly snapped his neck trying to find it, and he's managed to get it stopped in time, and he gave Jimenez on the room on the outside as well for them to battle. He didn't just push him off through the chicane there and say, this is my corner, get out of the way. He got it stopped, gave room, and it was absolutely fantastic. That was a really, really good move.
Yeah, it definitely was for Kenzie Nuov. Now, unfortunately for Tony Jimenez, he's got McIntyre, Jones, Webster, Varane, Villarreal behind him, and Evan Way is about a second back from this pack. You can see Villarreal there closing down on Luca Varane. He's going to try and take the inside line into turn 1. Varane gives him space now. Now he's going to be on this run down into turn 2. Can Varane send it in deep to hold the position, or has Villarreal got it? I think he's got it this time. Villarreal takes the 10th place away from Luca Varane there. Will McIntyre, Jones and Tony Jimenez are tucked up right beside, well, literally nose to tail currently here. Will McIntyre, Jones behind that in the black. We can jump onto the nose. That's Tony Jimenez in front of us. Oh, Jimenez has gone in. Jones has gone in a little bit hot here on this run down into turn 6. Is he going to be able to get it? He's not. He's lost a little bit of time there. Went in a little bit deep on that one, Ewan. And unfortunately, he's dropped it back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he has been steadily losing points as McIntyre Jones over the course of the last few weeks. He's been very, very consistent in his finishing positions. His worst one, I think, down in 8th place. His best being a 2nd. But other than that, he's just been really, really consistent. But unfortunately, to Nuov, just losing a couple of points and to Aberdeen as well. So I guess that's a little bit unfortunate for him, but he's putting on a good show here, inside the top 10 once again, and it's a fantastic battle we're seeing right now. Although the battling we saw a little bit further up in the train earlier on has let Aberdeen get away. Nuov has nearly gotten out of this group as well. The gaps at the front are getting bigger. It's all accordioning, concertinaing though at the back, with the likes of Villarreal and Varane right now getting pretty close together, and everybody else behind.
Yeah, Varane sitting down in 11th, Way down in 12th, Andy Flint down in 13th. He's got no. Well, should we say, nearly had Nicholas Westman join him there at one point. Westman was a little bit close going down there and almost sent it into the back of Flint's car into turn 1. Chuck Morrow, that we're in front of us. Turmakun's behind us, currently down in 23rd, 24th and 25th place respectively here. These guys battling it out and have been since the beginning. Morrow is up 3, we're up 3, Otlov's up 3, Tumakun's down 9. One of the biggest losers here today. And Kane Laitsky is up 10 places currently, with Matt Brewer behind him, with Sergio Cacafero, of course. Cacafero finished pretty much was dead last at this point and is now up 10 places into 37th place. So great job from Cacafero there, gaining 10 as he's gone along. But Kevin Zwebstra is sitting with Villarreal behind him, and Varane tucked up right behind him as well. It's going to be an interesting battle here in this sort of early mid-pack, can we call it? Because we get, you know, mid-pack in a field of 48 cars is like 24th place currently.
Yeah, it's quite well, that is quite remarkable to be fair. But yeah, I'm not. It's certainly up towards the front also, given the fact that they're at near or around the top 10 kind of mark. But this is the kind of problem with the Hungaroring a little bit. We haven't seen any side-by-side for a while, and that's what we expected a little bit more of throughout the course of the races. Sebastian Gravland gets back going again from an issue down at the penultimate corner.
Yeah, he kind of looked like he was stuck down currently in, where is it, turn 13. So unfortunately for Gravland there, not an ideal way of getting that car stopped. Otlov's on the right-hand side there with Zach Weir, Chuck Morrow and Weir just about to try and go through. Morrow's going to try and run the end and go around. He's tucked up right behind him at the moment. Otlov's goes defensive there. And Morrow manages to unfortunately be still in the same position. He's got to have a go at Otlovs once more. Back up front, Webstra has got Villarreal behind him currently as well, sitting down in 10th place. So the battle again are commencing through the field as they have done all season long here as we're on round 7 at the Hungaroring. And it looks like Nicholas Westman. Oh! Whoa!
He's gone wide into the AstroTurf through turn 8, and it's put him into the wall at turn 9 is my guess.
Okay.
Place your bets yourself at home. Play along at home. Oh no, he's spun. I was wrong. I've lost my money. Got loose more than anything. Didn't hit any curves anywhere. Took too much speed, and the rear end couldn't cope with it anymore.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Westman has gone. He's into the pits. Unfortunately for Nicholas Westman. So not ideal here for Nicholas Westman. I'm sure he will look back at this and think, well, what did I do wrong? Well, one of them did wrong. Unfortunately, you crashed the car. The Neuhoff and Aberdeen side by side here. Trying to battle away. Is Neuhoff going to get this through? He's not on that run round to 2. Aberdeen holds him. So unfortunately for Kenzie Neuhoff, not this time around here. Ewan?
But it's getting closer though. Outside at turn 4 would be very, very brave if he can pull this one off. He's already done one fantastic overtake in towards the chicane, and he's nearly got it round the outside at 4 for the inside at 5, and they'll continue to battle side by side, although the flowing nature of that corner means that the outside is quite viable for Aberdeen. He'll get up on the curb, but he'll know that being on the outside into the chicane is going to get him nowhere, and Neuhoff has made another fantastic overtake there.
Yep, it looks like a rinse and repeat. He did it in exactly the same place. 6 and 7, set him up coming out of 5, and then got on the inside into 6 and 7 like he did previously, and made his way through. So an absolute stunning run from Kenzie Neuhoff. You kind of wonder where this pace was in qualifying now, because he's given himself a 6-second gap to try and close on to Pedro Suarez, and I'm a bit of a realist here, that even that seems a little bit impossible, especially with the last lap time of a 1:37.55 and a 1:37.85 for Neuhoff. Kees van Leeuwen has unfortunately had another little bit of an incident. Looks like he may have taken a trip and is now into the wall there.
Aberdeen's got to slow down. Aberdeen's got to slow down on the front straight.
Very bizarre place, isn't it?
Depends what he did. I don't know where he got the off track, where he got the slow down penalty. So I would expect it to have been out the final corner, but I saw him very close to the pit wall almost immediately as he came through the penultimate corner. So I would be interested to find out where he picked that one up from. But that's put Aberdeen way down in this race now, and a place he hasn't been really all season long. Down in the order right now. This will probably become a drop week for him if it remains like this.
Yeah, poor old Aberdeen. Not having a good time here. Not loving this circuit at all. And unfortunately he's struggling somewhat down in 10th place. He's currently down 6 places. Possibly nearly looked like he was going to lose 7. There in turn 6 and 7 with Luca Varani. Unfortunately, Varani battling has brought Evan Way into it, and Andy Flint here. So Flint getting onto the back of the pack as well, trying to make his way through the order. Down 3 from where he started back on the grid, of course. But he's trying his hardest, is Andy Flint, and is getting onto the back of this battle with Evan Way, Varani and Aberdeen. And as we know, when cars start fighting, they do end up losing pace here. So for Andy Flint, he's kind of sat in the prime position as he's got about 16 laps left to basically have a good old go at the front, and there's possibly 3 to 4 positions up for grabs now.
There definitely are. We'll see. Aberdeen just seems to be struggling here. Something about him in this circuit not adding up quite at the moment, and he's continuing to fall through the order. I wouldn't be surprised if when one comes through here, then also Evan Way and Andy Flint follow Luca Varani through, because it's that kind of circuit when you get pushed offline. You can see quite a few coming through. I mean, even we saw during the battle with Neuhoff and Aberdeen, look at how much time that the likes of him has gained and so on further up the order. It was quite remarkable at the time. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see something similar happen a little bit further down. Although, as I said earlier, Aberdeen may well just take this as one of his drop weeks and forget about it.
Yeah, this is the battle up into second place with Barris, Lado and Suarez. They've been sitting about half a second apart now for the last couple of laps. Webster and Villarreal getting close in 8th and 9th there, and Morrow down in 22nd. Oh, looks like Koji Ito, unfortunately, is going down the order, and that's why. And I can guarantee, let me have a look, I've got a funny feeling he's hit the drain on the outside.
Yeah, he's got on that curb on the outside. It's got him into the wall. I'm surprised that that's the first we've seen actually of that. You could see immediately that he was not on the apex there. You could see immediately that he was wide. And yeah, it's no surprise to see where he's ended up after that.
Yeah, Koji gone, unfortunately. And now we'll go back with Lado and Barris and Suarez. This is second, third and fourth battle here for these guys. Been sitting in pretty much in station. Alistair Hay looks like he's just had a bit of an incident as well and is dropping down the order and has jumped into the pits at the same time. So the pits are getting a little bit more busy at the moment. Hay, Leski, Ito, Westman, Lewin, Leclerc and Asfeland have all ended up in the pits. It's a shame for Leski. He was another man that gained positions. Currently, everybody we mentioned who's gained position seems to be ending up going off the track here, Ewan. So I'm not going to mention anybody else at the moment.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, not a good idea.
No, let's not mention that Sergio Sanchez has made it the most places so far. Sorry, for down in 30th place at the moment. But yeah, I mean it's nothing to do with us really. We were hearing earlier on about tyres and how they were particularly strenuous around here. We are coming up towards the end of lap 15, which would signal the halfway point. If anybody's going to think about pitting for tyres, then it will be now. But I'd be gobsmacked if anybody decides to do that, even with the worries that some people had.
Yeah, I think the pit stop is completely out of question, unfortunately. You know, that for Koji Ito, of course, he's sitting in the standings in second place in the 2.5i rating standings, so that's not going to do him any favours. But the only good thing is currently at the moment is Edward Amos is not here, so he might be saved. But Dorian Oreo is here, and Vyacheslav Podstupenko, of course, is down in 5th at the moment in them standings. So unfortunately for Koji Ito, he's not going to be scoring any points. He's going to be finishing behind Dorian Oreo and Vyacheslav Podopenko. So that 2.5k standings might change up to next week as well, and that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on as we go into next week. So fair play to them guys. Edward Amos is currently at the top of that. Ito second, Brem third, Oreo fourth, and Podopenko rounds out the top 5 with Rino Schittini there chasing them down in 6th place. But Alex Lado is getting rather close here to Victor Barros as well, but it is McIntyre Jones with Villarreal behind him. And he's staying very, very close here, Ewan. Is it better to be travelling this close to somebody in front, or would you rather be sort of sat back just maybe a little bit?
I'm not sure you get too much hotter with the tyres following too closely here in RSA. I know it would maybe be a problem in real life, but these are quite small cars already. You're not going to get too much heat propelled onto these tyres added on top of what you've already got, so I don't think it'll make too much difference. And Vieira looks pretty set on trying to make this move as quickly as possible, and if that is the case, he's trying to really make a move here, then he absolutely needs to be as close as possible, so I don't see any problem with it for the moment. If this carries on for about 10 laps, then there really would be a problem, and the Spaniard will feel it towards the end of this one. But for now, he's absolutely fine, and just keeping at this distance out onto the front straight is a slide from McIntyre Jones, and now he might well be vulnerable.
Yeah, Will McIntyre Jones there. Big slide on Villarreal's coming. Here he goes, he pulls on to the outside now. He's going to look at taking that move down into turn 1. That is going to be job done, I think. Don't know if McIntyre Jones got the exit out of 1 to be able to run him on the inside of 2. They go past. Ooh, their car number 37. I believe that's somebody coming out of the pits. That's Dorian Oreo coming out of the pits, unfortunately. He's come out in a very, very bad pack of cars there. Lado and Barris. Lado has gone through on Barris.
Yeah, that was a good pass for second place for Lado. Barris down to third. And I also saw with that lap car as well, Aberdeen dropped outside the top 10 as a result. He had to go wide through turn 3. Luca Varani was able to get up his inside, I'm going to presume, and got up into 10th place.
Yeah, Luca Varani now sitting in 10th, for Aberdeen in 11th. They're still close to Kevin Swemstra and Will McIntyre-Jones, so it's not completely done and dusted for Aberdeen, but he does not seem to like this circuit, I'm not going to lie. But Lee Aberdeen, as I say, I think this is going to be a drop week here, Ewan, and it's going to be tough for Aberdeen here to really try and recover anything. Is it just one of them things that some drivers like a circuit like the Hungaroring and others just prefer Catalonia, for instance?
I don't know. I don't think people compare those two specifically.
I'm not saying just them two, but you know,
Okay.
you get what I mean.
I wonder where you were going, really.
No, not they're just them two, but like you talk about, you know, people like other circuits to not this one. Aberdeen doesn't seem to like this circuit, where the flowing of Brands Hatch seems to be right up his alley.
Yeah, I'm not sure really what it is about this one that is just not clicking with him at the moment. Let's not forget that life happens and he might not have been able to practice this week the amount that he has done previous weeks, and that can take an effect when you're in a field as competitive as this, because so how close qualifying times are, you know, even being a few temps away is going to put you down the grid. And if he'd qualified 14th, for example, he would have still been within a second of pole in that position based on the times today. So, you know, I'm not sure really what it is about Aberdeen, but something's not clicking with him here. It is definitely one of those circuits that people do idolise, though. It's becoming quite a classic racetrack in the motorsport world, really, because it's been around for quite some time now. I wouldn't be able to say when the first F1 race was or whatever, but it was quite some time ago, and it's maybe up there as one of a driver's favourites for one of these guys. So it's certainly one of those circuits, but I'm not sure why Aberdeen doesn't like it so much.
Well, I can give you that information now in my little stat sheet. The first Formula One Grand Prix was held at the Hungarian Grand Prix in 1986. So
That's about where I thought it was.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
I learned the other day that Suzuka held its first F1 Grand Prix in '87. So I was thinking that kind of era.
Oh, well, there you go. The interesting thing now, I want to pick up on Victor Barris.
Or was it 84? Sorry, it was 84.
It was 84, okay. So
I learned it only yesterday.
86 here. But the interesting thing, I was just looking through some interesting stats about Victor Barris, right? And he's finished 4 of the 5 races he's been in. Top 10s, he's only had 2. His average start has been 14th. And his average finish position is 18th place. And here he is, sitting right at the front of the field, battling about way with Pedro Suarez, currently sitting in 3rd. All right, he's under pressure from Suarez, but he's definitely not going to end up 18th here, is he? Surely, obviously, if he makes a mistake, that's a different story. But for a man that's got an average finishing position of 18th, to do a job where you're now sat in 3rd at the front end, at the sharp end of the pack, he's doing a stellar job, isn't he?
I think what you've got to look at here is what's happened. Well, firstly, what's happened during those races. I would preface that average finishing position with the fact that 2 of those is a DNF at Mosport in the second round, and the third round he didn't attend at Hockenheim. So those 2 actually do count towards his average, despite finishing, way down. Well, his Hockenheimring might not, but his Mosport certainly did, and he finished way down there. So that's not helping. In his other results, he was mostly in and around the top 10, with his best one so far coming, equal into Lagos and Brands Hatch 1 week ago, where I believe he finished 7th in that race last week. So he's been up and around here, but to see him in the top 3, you're right, it's certainly a little bit of a surprise. And a good performance, maybe just outperforming himself just a little bit here. But I think he's gone out the box quite hard on his tyres here, and he is starting to feel the effects of it. Alex Lado got through not so long ago, and Suarez is looking very threatening and might do the same.
Yeah, I think Suarez is possibly going to be making that move and trying to get through here on him. But for Barris, a great performance so far. And we've got Steve Ridders is now having a go at Lee Aberdeen. Aberdeen is not sitting comfortably. Unless, I know they mentioned tyres, but That's a big old tyre ploy to be pulling in here, isn't it? That you're not going to let yourself drop down all the way down to 13th before all of a sudden you turn the car on for the last 10 laps.
Yeah, it's a difficult one here because it's the first time really we've had any inclination in one of these races that tyres are going to be a problem and something to worry about. And that's a surprise given some of the circuits we've had so far, like Mosport and Brands Hatch and Jerez. So that's a bit of a surprise, and it could be about pacing yourself here. Lee Aberdeen's up to 13th right now. I just wonder whether he's letting this one go a little bit now in the final third, and whether we can see a bit more from him at the end. I wonder if anybody's going to really fall off in the final 5 laps here. It could be one of those races, but so far, despite the slight worries people have had on tyres sometimes, we've never really seen them affect the race totally.
Well, I think it got a little bit hot at Jerez, didn't it? And they were struggling at Jerez there for tyres, but to be honest, we've not physically seen it to a point where they've dropped off that bad. They've gone off the cliff, and none of the drivers have had grip whatsoever. And I think that's the thing, to all of a sudden now come to the likes of Hungaroring, where we were being told that tyres was going to be an issue and that people are going to have to manage them. For Aberdeen to drop off down to 13th, I'm thinking that he's just not comfortable with the circuit. Everybody else seems to be doing, times around about the middle 137s. Aberdeen's out 137.65. The leader, last time out, Pagotto's just done a 137 dead. So he's 6 tenths off the leader's pace. He's a further 2-3 tenths off the guys in front of him as well. So maybe he's just not comfortable with what this circuit is offering him, and it's an opportunity for Steve Ridders to get himself up the order, unless all of a sudden Aberdeen has now found some pace, and we'll keep an eye on his last lap time, and as he's coming down now into, where is he, 12, so we'll keep an eye on his next lap time and see what Aberdeen does. But I think if he's turned them on, and if he's been saving that much, he's too late. I think he's not going to make the gains that he's hoping for unless other people have really fried their tyres to the degree that it's caused such a massive issue in the race.
Well, the other side to that is that maybe if he'd have gone out hard from the start, he would have fallen even further than 13th, and this is actually a good result compared to what it could have been. Obviously, we don't know that because he hasn't run the race that way, but maybe he has been holding something back, and he's now going to stretch his legs. He was half a second quicker than Evan Way on his last lap, so he certainly is coming right now. But yes, it does seem that it's a slightly bizarre one, given that we're now in the final third of the race and the gaps are so spread out, and he's dropped nearly 10 places in this race, that now he's decided to go for it, and now he's really starting to get on the move, because it does feel like he's only going to be able to pick off 1, maybe 2 in the remaining laps, and he's not really going to get anywhere from that.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is with Aberdeen, we're looking at a man whose average finishing is 7th. He's had 4 wins, 5 top 10s, 5 top 5s. He's been around the top of the order to all of a sudden now come down into a race where you're sitting at 13th. You're just very, very shocked by it all. But Will McIntyre-Jones, as we see the car goes flashing past us, with Zwemstra and Varani closing in on him down in 8th, 9th and 10th here. It's going to be interesting to see how many people what they've got left in the car, I think, to be honest. What they've got left in the tyres. Have they been managing them? This pace has been quite quick here. Have they really kept the grip of these tyres, or are they going to be going off to the bit where all of a sudden they do drop off the cliff? And that's going to be the interesting thing for all of us to be keeping a close eye on, and seeing whether or not they are just going to drop. We'll go on board with Zwemstra as he's looking at the inside of McIntyre-Jones. He forces McIntyre-Jones to the outside. It was close. I got the ooh, but it was close.
It's hard to see what's going on when Zwemstra's head's in the way, to be fair, from that camera angle. I'm trying to look to the left-hand side to see if there's contact, and you just can see someone's head. Anyway, seemingly was no contact, and they made it work, but yeah, these guys can run very, very close to each other. They trust each other very much in terms of racing one another, but it certainly seems to be McIntyre-Jones on the defensive just a little bit here, and it's somewhat surprising really, because he hasn't exactly been moving forward particularly in this race and burning through his tyres alone, but maybe he has been burning through his tyres to stay where he is.
Yeah. The seat jumping on the rear suspension of Swemstra. In front of us is McIntyre Jones. Behind us is Varani. We are currently heading down through turn 11 on the run down into the right-hander of 12. Oh, McIntyre Jones very, very wide there. All 4 tyres off the circuit. Surprised he hasn't picked up more than a little off track there, because he would have kept that position in front of him with the amount of speed that he did carry. But Swemstra tucked up behind him, looking very, very racy coming through the final corner of turn 14. He's got to stay right close. He's got to get on the power and rely on the fact that he's got anything left in them tyres on this car. As we're now going down the start-finish straight, here comes McIntyre Jones. His name's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and now we pulled out to the outside line. Are we going to be able to take it? Is Swemstra going to run McIntyre Jones out? Oh, that almost looked like they've touched him. Swemstra's rubbed him up. There was a little bit of contact there.
I don't know. Oh, it's very close to it again here. Outside line for Swemstra, and if he can hold it there, he'll be inside for 3, but not quite. McIntyre Jones holds on. Swemstra really nearly had that done right at turn 1, actually, but he got a bit of a slide on the exit, on power, I think it was. And in the end, didn't get the exit towards 2 that he needed, and couldn't hang it round the outside through 2 like he needed to as well. So another opportunity passes him by, and I think this battle now is meaning that this is going to... Oh dear, Pagotto!
Pagotto's gone!
Turn 11, is it? It must be turn 11.
13 seconds gap, Gianfranco Pagotto. Uh-huh.
Oh, it's a technical. It's a technical issue.
Again?
It's a wheel failure. It's a wheel failure for Gianfranco Pagotto. I'm absolutely convinced of it. Halfway and he's got front end damage. He fixes it, but he knows that the damage is too much. Just look at the wheel action here. He'll turn into the right-hander at turn 11 initially, and the wheel will snap left immediately. That is not the actions of someone in control of their car at all. That wheel was gone. It's had a technical problem, and that has meant Gianfranco Pagotto is out of this race.
Yeah, Pagotto's out, but that's released Lado, Barris and Suarez to the top there. Oh, Pagotto made it all the way to 24. He was 6 laps away from taking a victory. He was out in front. He was on his Sunday drive. He could have stopped at a pub and grabbed a beer all at the same time, because he had such an insurmountable gap that Lado, Barris and Suarez were not going to get anywhere near him. And due to a failure that you've just physically seen at the highest degree, Pagotto goes and ends up in the wall, and that is so unfortunate for Pagotto. Another one, because he disconnected it into Lagos as well, if I remember correctly.
Was it him?
Yeah, because he was leading into Lagos by miles. Well, he was out front in Interlagos.
Somebody was, but I cannot remember who it was.
It was, I'm sure.
If it was him, then fair enough. Somebody definitely disconnected from the lead at Interlagos, and it may have been him, I don't know, but he was absolutely dominant in that race there, fully deserved to win it, but with 5 laps to go, he's not going to, and it's going to be someone else at front of the field, probably Alex Lado, but Victor Barris is having a bit of a resurgence late on here.
Yeah, Victor Barris now closing in. Is now in second place currently at the moment. Villarreal and Jimenez battling away down in 5th and 6th place, with McIntyre, Jones, Webster, Varani, Flint and Lee Aberdeen all behind that. Here comes the looming pack of cars led by Will McIntyre Jones, with Webster, Varani and Flint. And now Lee Aberdeen trying to get onto the back of the pack. He's up 11 plays, up 11. He's up into 11th, so he's got past Evan Way, and he managed to stay in front of Steve Ridders. He didn't get overtaken there. It looks like Villarreal has crashed as well. Villarreal's off.
Oh, he spun. He's spun at turn 2. I wonder if there was maybe contact down at turn 2, and whether that played into anything there, because you don't normally spin off down at turn 2 on your own accord. And he was in a battle with Jimenez, from what I can remember. So maybe there was contact.
Well, only one way to find out.
Yeah, it must have been contact here. He pulls to the outside of Jimenez, who's on a very narrow line. Drifts upwards. Oh no! It was side by side, and he dropped it on his own.
Yep.
Well, that is somewhat of a surprise, has to be said.
It definitely is, but Alex Lado's now out in front by 7 tenths over Barris, who's got 1.3 back to Suarez. But we've still got the McIntyre, Jones, Wemstra, Varani, Flint and Lee Aberdeen battle here. Further down the field, Marek Otlovs and Paolo Brem and Arturo Mayorga are currently battling down in 26th, 27th and 28th place. And it's even Ferric Dieter for Paynon Racing with Chris Kirk there. Kirk, I'm not quite sure where Kirk just come from. It looked like he'd come from another postcode at that point. It whizzed from one side of the track to the other and went on a big defensive move out of turn 2 there, did to Chris Kirk. So unfortunately for him, he's down the order, of course. But, you know, battling away with Zita as it goes. But it's still this battle up front with Jimenez in 5th place. McIntyre, Jones, Webster, the Barani 6th, 7th and 8th as well. All coming trying to close it down. And let's see how they all get on as we go into the last 3 laps here. Well, you can't say, you know, for what planned looked like it was going to be an easy victory for Bogotto due to a massive tech failure, which we saw. It's kind of thrown it open here. Lado is, well, he's going to be sitting there rubbing his hands together, really, you know, just thinking thank you very much for that.
He will be. And he does have a bit of a job to do still to hold on here. Let's not forget about that, because Victor Barris is still pretty close behind him. But yeah, it's thrown this race wide open at the front. And the longer this race goes on, the more the tyres seem to affect people. Will McIntyre-Jones seems to be the latest one really struggling. And Lee Aberdeen is continuing to climb places. He was down in 14th at his lowest. He's now inside the top 10 with a possible 4 overtakes to make here, although he probably will run out of time to make them all.
Yeah, I think he's just going to have a little bit more. He's got to try and clear Andy Flint to get onto the back of everybody else there. I'd like to point out for Lado, be his first victory of the season. He's just 2 top 10s. First time inside the top 5 for Alex Lado, with an average finishing position of 17th. And he now goes and takes his first victory at a very difficult circuit like the Hungaroring. Another man between him and Barris have been absolutely flying. And if you're ever going to put it on your best performance, you might as well do it on a track that everybody else is struggling at, because that's been the situation.
Yeah, maybe it seems to be. It's hard to tell when everybody is kind of running or struggling at the same time. It's kind of hard for us to tell without us talking to them, because it just looks normal to us. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. But yeah, it has been a good race so far. Not into well, I mean, there have been plenty of overtakes, but the drama has outweighed the overtaking, in my opinion. The drama that we've seen elsewhere off the ball. Yeah, that's not quite what I mean, but off the circuit, I guess. Out of Gianfranco Pagotto's control, certainly it was. The big drama at the front of the field. And there's now real battles going on here as McIntyre-Jones battles with his own tyres. He's having to battle with Remstra now on the circuit as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle going into the last lap now. We are going to be on the final lap. After this one, there's going to be lap 29 and then lap 30 for these guys. Can McIntyre-Jones hang on? He's got a big ask, because he's not got slow people behind him in the likes of Varani's, Webster and Aberdeen. Aberdeen is now cleared Flint and is now in the top 9. So unless Aberdeen has all of a sudden, well, turned it on, I suppose, in the car, he could possibly, yeah, he looks, oh, McIntyre-Jones. Big old...
Well, he's going to be overtaken now, yeah, by everybody. He's Remstra to get down the outside. He'll defend to the inside as well. McIntyre-Jones has got to be careful doing that. He locks up in towards turn 2. Oh, he tries to hang it around the outside, but his tyres are gone. He tries to get on the power, but can't. Varani is going to be stalled on the outside. Here comes Aberdeen as well up towards turn 4. He'll play the safety card and jump towards the inside to defend from Flint, who's in behind as well. McIntyre-Jones is skating around on those tyres now.
Yeah, it looks like he's really having no form of control currently. He's scooting along, trying his absolute hardest, but he is now just becoming a roadblock at the Hungaroring. And a very difficult situation for McIntyre Jones here. We were expecting Webster to start making going forward now, opening up that 6th gap currently at the moment. But McIntyre Jones is definitely struggling, and it is all about whether or not Varane is going to take that opportunity on the final lap here to make this move past McIntyre Jones, because Aberdeen's coming. We've seen him. He looks like he may have just saved a little bit, but maybe a little bit too late on moving forward. But he is doing a stellar job and is now back inside the top 10, sitting in 9th place. But for McIntyre Jones, it's going to be a tough one here. But Alex Lado has gone round, taking the final lap of the race. He's got about 7 tenths over Barris. Aberdeen is trying to make that move. Ferrari goes on the defence. It was close, Ewan. It was definitely close.
Will McIntyre Jones could have Lee Aberdeen as a best friend here, because he's fighting with Varane, and it could allow McIntyre Jones to get away with 7th place here. Aberdeen, with a couple of laps to go, maybe would have been a bit more patient than that, but he knows that any positions he's going to gain have to come right now, because he is on the final lap, as is everybody. So he'll just try and get what he can here, but he's going to struggle to get past Varane, who's now not so close to McIntyre Jones as a result of the battle, but they'll catch up again very easily, and it's all going to be on into the final sector.
Yeah, here we go now, off round 5. On that run through 6 and 7, the leader is coming round turn 11. We will pick up on Alex Lado coming across the line for his first victory of the season. The man whose biggest inspiration of motorsport is Fernando Alonso. So there we go for Alex Lado, and now he is going to come round at currently turn 13. We'll pick him up coming round the final corner, and then we'll jump back to this battle. But there is Alex Lado for the NetLife Racing Forces team. He's going to come across the line for his first win this season. Victor Barris in 2nd with Pedro Suarez 3rd. There's been an incident. Aberdeen's got off. Yeah, he's off.
Penultimate corner, and you've got to say there must have been contact this time. Surely he hasn't dropped that on his own. He has dropped to 13th place though, and that is his worst finishing position since he crashed out of the Mossball place at round 2.
Well, here we go. Varane in front of us. Aberdeen goes in. Oh no.
Dives down the inside, and there's contact. It's hard to know from that angle whether Varane didn't give enough room or whether Aberdeen just spun himself trying to get down the inside there. Very hard to tell. Let's see from if we can see here. Is he jammed up on the curb, particularly, or is he? Oh no, he's. I don't think Varane's done anything wrong there for me. He's given the perfect amount of room, but Aberdeen's trying to dive in deep there. It's not worked out for him.
Yeah, it was a little bit audacious for Lee Aberdeen, I think. I'm not quite technically sure what he was expecting Varane to do there. You can't obviously remove a car out of the way. It's not all of a sudden, you know, Houdini, and you've got to try and get out of the way there. It's just kind of not possible. And unfortunately for Lee Aberdeen, it was a bit of an audacious effort, I think. Don't we kind of agree on that one, Ewan?
I don't think it was an audacious effort. I think it was very much on, but I think it. You know, I don't think Varane did anything wrong. I think Aberdeen just went a little bit too deep on the brakes, straight into the side of Varane, spun himself around. But he thought, you know, I might as well go for this extra point, because at the moment that score's going to be dropped anyway.
Yeah, it definitely is. So Lee Aberdeen there spinning at the end, but your results are Alex Lado, first victory of the season, 25-year-old whose first ever contact was on the PS2 for Need for Speed, takes the victory here. Victor Barris in 2nd, Pedro Suarez 3rd, Kenzie Newar 4th, Tony Jimenez 5th, Kevin Webster 6th, Will McIntyre Jones 7th, Luca Varane 8th, Andy Flint 9th, Evan Wade 10th, Valero in 11th, Stephen Ridders 12th, Lee Aberdeen 13th, Vyacheslav Potapenko 14th, and Adam Towns were down in 15th place. Christian Glamseater in 16th, Marcus Putnieks in 17th, Zach Weir 18th, Chuck Morrow 19th, Erwin Stulikans 20th, John McKenzie 21st, Robert Ridgway 22nd, Clark Williams 23rd, Reno Scatini 24th, and Sergio Cacafero 25th place there. Now I'd like to point out Cacafero has just gained 22 positions. Okay, put that into perspective.
I said in the middle of the race he'd gained loads of places. I told you it wouldn't matter.
It's now on 22.
I know, but you said don't say who's gained the most because we'll curse them. But we broke it.
No, but I'd like to point out that everybody else we said had gained positions did end up, unfortunately, going out.
That is true.
So
but I'm just saying he broke the curse.
He did, yes. Marek Outlaws 26, Paolo Brome 27, Arturo Mayorga 28, Matthew Gracie 29, Matt Brewer 30th, Nausea Herrera 31st, Reed Dennis had an incident, is down in 32nd, Chris Kirk manages there to stay in front of Ferric Zito. That's because Zita had an incident, and Kirk hangs on to 33rd, Zito in 34th, Maximilian Gebhardt down in 35th place. Then beyond that, we got Giovanni Solito in 36th, Dorian Oreo 37th, Jean Alessi in 38th, Koji Ito 39th, Gianfranco Bogotto, as we know, had that massive tech failure in 40th, Sebastian Graveland 41st, Kane Laskey 42nd, Alistair Hay 43rd, Nicholas Westman down in 44th place there. And then beyond that, there was Lewin, Leclerc and Arvidsland were the final places on the table. So, yeah, unfortunate for them. And unfortunately, well, it was unfortunate for Gianfranco Bogotto, wasn't it? He was out in front by an absolute mile.
He really was. And I guess what sticks the knife in even further for him is that he didn't even complete enough laps to score points in that race, so all of his efforts are going to go to completely nothing, and he was down in 40th place anyway, so a real shame for him. Feel very sorry for him, but it was a decent race in the end, and big drama within it, as I mentioned. Important moments for the championship. Neuhoff will extend his lead with the overall points, but we'll start, as we get into the second half of the season now, we'll start to work out a little bit more about where these guys are going to be in terms of their actual points when they've dropped 2 scores as well, heading towards the final few rounds, because that's really where we've got to keep an eye on, because that's obviously what we're going to contend with by the end of the season. You do get 2 drop scores, and so we've got to try and figure out who's on what points and who needs to do what with the remaining rounds of the season. But it looks like it's going to be a close one this season.
Yeah, it definitely does there as well. Well, that brings the broadcast to an end here. And another round at the IGP F3 done and dusted currently at the moment in time. And, well, what have we got coming up? Well, next week, we're off to Donington Park National Circuit. That's going to be exciting with the amount of cars that we get round here as well. So, but thank you so much for joining us, guys. Stay tuned, because later on we've got the Radical Sim Racing from Daytona at 1:45 with the LSRL GT3. Also there on the track from Spa-Francorchamps at 1:45 in the morning. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got the JPB Clio Cup coming back at 8 p.m. Then at 5 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, we've got the Sunday Drive Racing there, and they're on round 3 from Laguna Seca, but that goes off at 5 a.m. And then on Tuesday evening, we've got the UK Sim Racers at 8 p.m. But for now, guys, that is it. That brings the broadcast to an end. From myself and Mr. Ewan O'Leary, take care. Have a great week. And as always, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.